So earlier today I was looking through my pressed flower collection where I keep all of my pressed flowers, and I found these really pretty bachelor buttons in there. They were just super bright and vibrant, and as soon as I saw them I got this idea. It just popped into my head for a floating frame. So that's what we're going to be making today. Hey there, welcome back to my channel, and welcome if you're new. My name is Haley. On this channel we do all kinds of DIYs featuring lots of flowers and other natural materials. So if that is something you would enjoy, I would love to have you subscribe and turn on the notification bell so you know every time I post a new project. Alright, so like I said, we are going to be making this beautiful pressed flower frame today. It's kind of hard to see when it's not up against the wall, but it is full of bachelor buttons and it says never stop creating. So first I'm going to show you guys what materials you'll need and then we will get started. Alright, so the first thing I have is this floating frame, and I actually got this one at Ross, which is, I don't know if everybody has a Ross where they're at. It's sort of like a discount store, sort of similar to Marshall's or TJ Maxx if you have either of those. They are a great place to get these frames if you have one near you. This one was only $4.99, super cheap, and they usually have floating frames. Every time I've looked, they have at least a couple to pick from. So I would really recommend that, although if you don't have a Ross, you can order online from Hobby Lobby, and they'll either have probably 50% off of their frames, or sometimes you can find a coupon and then you can order it online. They have a lot of floating frames as well. And then I have these beautiful bachelor buttons. They keep their color so well. And I had a variety of colors in there, like blue and red and purple and white. Some of them are even like a light pink color. So I'm super excited to use those. And then I also have a white paint marker. If you do not have a paint marker, you could also use just acrylic paint. I have also tried chalk marker for this and it does not work, just so you know. It just kind of wipes off really easily. So I have that paint marker. And then I have just a regular, this is a Tombow marker, but we just need like some kind of fine tip black marker for our template that we'll be making. I also have a little bit of Elmer's glue, and this is just to help things stay secure. In the past, when I've made these, sometimes things like to move around, but this is kind of optional. And then the final thing we will need is our template. So I just kind of thought of this quote. I just feel like I keep getting in a rut, and every time I get in like a creative rut, I stop creating things, and then it just makes me feel even more like I'm in a rut. So I am going to put this somewhere near my workspace just to keep encouraging me to not stop creating, even if I don't feel like it, or even if I feel like down and like my stuff isn't looking very great. So you can either use this quote or you can make up your own quote, but I just kind of drew it on there with a marker just so that we can have like an idea and a guide for when we're putting it onto the frame. So before we do anything here, we want to make sure this front piece is really clean. You're not going to want to clean this off right after you use the paint marker on here, so just give it a good wipe. All right, and then we can take the frame apart. So you'll just flip it over. They usually have like this little inside frame to hold your glass pieces in and make sure they don't wiggle around at all. And then we want that back piece out. Now you can grab your guide and sit it down in front of you. And we'll take that first piece of glass and just lay it over your guide and make sure it is centered. The words are centered how you want them. Alright, so that looks pretty good to me, so I'm going to take my white paint marker and I'm just going to go over the guide. It doesn't have to be perfect. If there's some kind of change you want to make, like the marker I used was really, I don't know, it was kind of like getting stuck on the paper, so there's a few little changes I'm going to make, but other than that, I'm just going to trace over my guide. So while the paint is drying from the paint pen, we're going to be adding the flowers. I did just grab this really old brush to use for this part. It's not necessary, but it will make it a tiny bit easier. So I'm just gonna take the Elmer's glue and get a little bit on this brush. And then I'm going to kind of spread it out. I want most of those to be in the center and almost like an explosion kind of. So I'm gonna put the most of the glue in the middle, them all to stay right there. And then I'm kind of just gonna take the bachelor buttons and sprinkle them on. I don't want this to look too perfect, if that makes sense. Just kind of want them to go naturally. Stuck to my finger. There we go. And if they overlap, I'm just gonna spread them out a little bit. So now for the ones that I want kind of around the outside edge, I'm just going to be using the paintbrush to wipe a little bit of glue onto them, because while the glue will dry pretty clear, you might still be able to see some streaks if there's a lot of it showing, and I don't want it as full on the outer edges. So I'm just going to use the glue on the paintbrush so that I can kind of spread them out where I want them. And remember, this doesn't have to be a ton of glue at all, just a tiny, tiny bit, enough for it to stay on. Now it's too stuck to my finger to let go. There we go. Okay, so now it's time to put it all back together. So we're gonna take this, line it up, and then we'll take the top piece and sit it over top. And then we will take the outside and put it back on. When you're putting this part on, just remember that only one side has where it's going to hang from. So you gotta pay attention when you're putting it back on. So I want that one at the top. Sit it right like that. And you can kind of flip it over carefully to get it the rest of the way lined up. And then you can go ahead and put these back together. And there it is. It is so cute. I love it. I am really excited for this project. It just, sometimes things turn out exactly how you have them pictured in your head, and it is the most satisfying thing ever, and this one definitely did. It's exactly what I envisioned when I first saw those bachelor buttons. So I'm really glad it turned out. If you like this tutorial, please give this video a thumbs up, and I will see you all soon for our next project. Thank you so much for watching.